Well, we're pleased to welcome back into the program the owner of the State Farm Agency in National Hills, Keith Perret. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. We're so price conscious these days because probably inflation, we're just paying more at the supermarket, we're paying more at the gas pump, everything. But I've often found sometimes when you price shop, it's a race to the bottom and it's a commodity. Mm-hmm. And so I want to see if you can explain the difference between cost shopping and maybe the value that you get, the value of education.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand in our business that it's not one size fits all.
Okay.
You have to look at everybody's individual situation. But when I write up a policy, whether it's a homeowner's, whether it's auto, whether it's life, I'm gonna present it to you like I would if you were my mother or my sister or my brother or a close friend. Mm-hmm. You may not go with what I recommend, but I'm going to recommend what I believe to be the best scenario for you.
Sure.
And then we can talk about it from there because, I think it's important that we do that. I think it's important that we give people the advantage of knowing this is really what you need. This is the risk that you have. And it becomes a risk-reward situation for a lot of people. How much risk can you tolerate?
Right.
For example, if you're carrying state minimums on your autos, what that basically means is you have $25,000 per person per accident for bodily injury, and you have $25,000 in property damage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if you are driving down Washington Road over by I-20, which mm-hmm. we call it the gauntlet, right?
That's right.
But let's say you're driving down there and you hit somebody. They mm-hmm. pull out in front of you, you don't see them, you hit them, and they get hurt. And there's a mom and a small child in that car.
A lot more than 25,000.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we talked about it earlier. We're a very litigious society. So mm-hmm. by the time you take an ambulance ride, go to the hospital, have procedures, you get a lawyer involved. I mean, it could easily come back. Let's say it comes back at $100,000 for the mom and $75,000 for the child. Well, if you're carrying state minimums, you got $25,000 per person with a $50,000 max. So that's on the mom, $75,000 your insurance company is not paying. On the child, it's $50,000. So now you got $125,000 that you're responsible for.
Whoa!
Because you wanted to carry bottom level limits and be cheap.
And all you have to do is just spend a little bit more money and raise your minimums.
It's literally one of those things that when you need it, you're going to wish you had it.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing on property damage. If you got $25,000 and you hit a beater and you wreck it, you're probably okay. But if you hit a brand new Mercedes that hits a brand new Lexus, that hits a brand new Jaguar, you're going to be in trouble. Because if you owe $300,000 because of a wreck, that's a life changer. And oh, by the way, in the state of Georgia, they can garnish your wages at 25%, and they will. They're not going to just let you walk away from this. So I think it's important that people understand the risk they're taking when they carry low limits.
That's right.
And then there's other things that we offer that a lot of people aren't aware of. For example, a personal liability umbrella, which puts $1 million on top of your home and your auto. So if you're a small business owner, and there's an opportunity for people to sue you if you were in an accident, you want to make sure that you have plenty of coverage.
Right.
Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to be responsible for that.
No.
So I try to do whatever I can to protect myself, and I recommend the same things that I do to other people. But like I tell everybody in our office, you got to eat your own dog food. You can't sell what you don't use.
Right.
So, I think it makes sense for us to practice what we preach.
Makes sense indeed. We're continuing our chat with Keith Perret, who's the agency owner of State Farm on Washington Road in National Hills at 706-925-LIFE and kpinthehouse.com. We all grew up watching the NBC show Cheers, where everybody knows your name. And I know that if I walk into the office, you're going to say, and your staff's going to say, "Hey, Neil, how you doing?" And I think there's a value to that.
There is. And here's the thing that is a challenge with any small business right now is people. Finding the right team and keeping the right team together so that we can be consistent like that. And we have done a very good job over the last year or two of keeping a team together that's consistent, that knows people when they come in. Because, like any business, we do have turnover. I mean, it's just a fact of life. But we try to minimize that and make sure we're hiring the right people so that, they're there. You know, you don't have one person one day and then you call in, oh, they're gone. There's another person, and then you call in a month later, oh, they're gone. We don't want that. We want to be consistent. And what you find, not just with us, but with the best agents in town, is that's what makes the difference. Yeah. Their team and their ability to keep their team together over time so that they do have those relationships with their clients.
Sure. And occasionally our family gets to travel, and I always like to use a travel agent because I worry what happens if I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm stuck and I don't know what to do, versus the Expedia world where you just go online and you book, and I worry about that. Is it like that in your business too?
I believe so. I think it's important because, you know, look, here's the thing. If you're using an 800 insurance company, you might call and get a great rep on the phone. You might call and get somebody terrible on the phone. It's just the fact, like, call your credit card company. Right. So you might get somebody excellent. You might get somebody not so good.
And you don't know where, may not even be in the United States.
That's right. So the good thing about what you're speaking of is when you have an agent and you have an agent staff that works with you on a consistent basis, they know you. They know your situation. We can easily look up what you're doing, and we can give you the best advice possible in an extremely timely manner. So, yeah, I think that holds a lot of value.
Well, you can start the conversation. It's not an 800 number. It's a 706 number at 925-LIFE and kpinthehouse.com. And Keith, thank you so much. He's been in business now for more than 3 years, growing, and there's a reason you've been growing, because you do things the right way, you care about people, and you really try to provide information and education, because we don't know.
Right. And I would invite people also to go Google us and read our reviews.
Nice.
And see what people are saying about us and saying about specific team members on there. And I think you'll be pleased with what you see.
Well, good. Thank you again, Keith. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Okay.